Hello everybody, welcome to our new Sunday talk show, The World This Week. And this week we saw the opening ceremony in Sochi, Winter Olympics with all-year politics. Severe weather around the United States. Elections and unrest in Thailand. Horror stories in Hollywood. And a Happy New Year in China. The Year of the Horse is here. These are some of the issues we'll touch upon this Sunday. Our main issue this Sunday, the peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians are reaching a boiling point. We'll get to that in a minute, but first to Sochi. It was a Russian-style opening ceremony, clearly with the intention of showing Russia's dominance. And most of the Western world leaders were not even there. We say hello to Ilan Goren in Sochi.
Good evening, Jacob from Sochi.
Well, what was the Russian message in this opening ceremony, Ilan?
I think the message was that the Russian state is standing nowadays on the winner's podium. Even though we have seen a parade of its past achievements, the idea was to show the world that the Russians are capable of great things in the future. And I think that's what they wanted television viewers worldwide, hundreds of millions or even billions, to see and believe. Of course, the question is whether this message was conveyed, considering the fact that instead of 5 Olympic rings, we only saw 4 at the beginning of the ceremony. On the other hand, television viewers in Russia itself saw 5, because the director of this broadcast on local TV cut straight to the general rehearsal, the recording of the general rehearsal, and therefore Russian television viewers might have believed that everything went smoothly, but audiences worldwide probably had a different impression. Apart from that little glitch, a beautiful and pretty successful ceremony yesterday.
Oh, well, some things never change. The fact that most Western leaders are not there, it's quite remarkable, isn't it?
Well, we've heard Thomas Bach of the International Olympic Committee saying just before the opening of the Games that this should not be the stage where political powers try to score points in internal or external political contests. I would say that this is exactly the place where these things are done, even historically, but that's the message that we hear from the leader of the International Olympic Committee. Now, since we haven't seen Barack Obama or other Western leaders in the stadium, of course, the hosts had to settle for other celebrities from the West, so it was Bruce Willis and Mike Tyson that graced this event in their presence, but not Western leaders.
All right. And let me ask you, how was your shower today? Did you have drinking water? What's going on with the facilities over there?
The hotel that we're staying at is not a so-called media hotel, so we have not experienced the difficulties that other journalists reported about. Everything works pretty fine, showers work, the Wi-Fi connection, the internet connection works smoothly. We have a very nice view of the main stadium and a backyard full of chickens and some stray dogs. In that sense, no complaints about our hotel. And we don't even have cameras in our bathrooms, as was reported, a problem that was reported by other journalists claiming that they are being spied on by the organizers. I don't think we experience any of these problems.
But do you feel that you are being followed in any way?
Well, of course, the answer is yes. Everyone essentially is being followed in these games, not only journalists, but also even athletes, at least according to Russian journalists who unveiled a massive scheme of surveillance and eavesdropping called SOM, which is something used by the Russian authorities, security services here to monitor basically everyone attending these games.
So what to expect next?
Yeah, Jacob, we're going to see some very fierce fights on ice and snow in the next few days, especially between the Canadians, the Americans, and the Russian athletes, the hosts. We've already heard about a possible scandal in figure skating. The sports newspaper L'Equipe reports that there might be some sort of a deal that was struck between the Russian and the American team to push the Canadians aside, basically giving good marks to each other, the Russians and the Americans, and therefore blocking the Canadians from winning gold in these competitions. If this is true, it's not only illegal, it's the first major scandal of these games. Hopefully this is not true, but we'll have to wait and see in the next few days how this develops.
Of course. Ilan Goren in Sochi, Russia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jacob, from Sochi.
With us this Sunday, Barbara Opal-Rom, Defense News Bureau Chief in Israel.
Hello.
And Alon Pinkas, former Israeli Consul General in New York. Let's start, Alon, with Mr. Putin. Now, is this Putin taking center stage? Is this the rise of Russia and the decline of the United States, or neither?
Neither. I mean, yeah, it's Putin trying to assert power. It's Putin trying to project a different Russia, a more powerful and more involved Russia. It has nothing to do with the decline of the U.S. There is no decline of the U.S. There's declinism, which is a state of mind, and there is a change and a shift in power relations throughout the world from a one superpower structure to a multi-power structure. Russia has nothing to offer. Which is why Putin may try and dominate the agenda all he wants, but he's got nothing to sell.
But Barbara, he was very successful in the past year or so, right? With some nice maneuvers internationally.
Absolutely, and here's a rare time when I must disagree with Alon.
It's good. Go on.
I believe that Russia under Putin is a reascendant global power with a clear strategy and an ability to implement an agenda of becoming a global hegemon. Nowhere better was it showcased in Sochi. We all were ridiculing, the West was ridiculing Putin for his grandiose, delusionary designs, but the fact is that in 7 years out of nothing, he was able to use that autocratic regime that he's been able to strong-arm and manipulate to serve his interests. He did it at Sochi, and he's doing it on a global scale. He knows when to bide his time while the U.S. bleeds. He knows how to, bleeding I meant financially, and I meant in involvement in Afghanistan and Iraq over decades. So he knows when to bide his time. He knows how to parlay his global power status as a nuclear power, as a space power, but then he knows when to come out big time. I mean, the defense budget has been, since 2007, it has doubled, and by 2016, it will have tripled.
Maybe we're missing something about Putin here.
This is a rare occasion where I still disagree with Barbara. I think he's trying to do everything that Barbara said he's trying to do. I just fail to see how, in the current structure of the international system, Russia can be ascendant. Yes, they have oil. Yes, they have tripled their defense budget by increments. But there's nothing for them to sell. Who are they going to sell weapons systems to? What will they sell to Africa, to South America, to Southeast Asia? No one needs what they have to sell, which is why you could see assertion and expressions of power in the Ukraine, in Syria. I don't see Russia becoming a superpower.
Which brings us to our favorite subject, the Middle East. This ignited another round of attacks by Israeli right on Secretary of State John Kerry.
You see, for Israel, there's an increasing delegitimization campaign that has been building up. People are very sensitive to it. There are talk of boycotts and other kinds of things.
Barbara, that was perceived as a threat by some Israelis.
Wrongly so. This is a classic case of shoot the messenger. He's not advocating a third intifada or a boycott movement. He's just trying to get Israel, its leaders particularly, to open their eyes to the reality. And again, I must go back to Russia in that the vacuum, if the U.S. does not succeed this time, the vacuum that will be left here will be filled by another power that will not be so sympathetic. And as even Avigdor Lieberman said on Friday, a very good friend of Israel, that sympathy and that decades of understanding will be gone, and Israel will left to do what the defense minister said and to manage.
We'll talk about Lieberman in a second, but Alon, Kerry has been talking a lot, more than many others before him, didn't he?
Oh, we should be thankful that he is, because the opposite of not talking is not talking, meaning divesting political capital from the Middle East, disengaging from any further involvement in the Middle East. That would probably be the worst possible scenario for Israel, which is why the attacks on Kerry were nothing short of reckless, rude, coarse, idiotic, and serve no purpose whatsoever. This is the Secretary of State, Yaakov, who provided, past and present tense, $130 billion to Israel. This is the Secretary of State, the office, not necessarily the individual, who cast a veto in the UN Security Council.
Yeah, but that was
51
history.
times. No, that's not history.
Right wing in Israel says now
the right wing in Israel.
He's not a mediator. He took a position.
Right. This is a classic right wing argument that runs from 70 AD to 2014 AD. They panic. They tend to blame the Romans. They tend to blame the Americans. They blame everyone but...
Except for one, foreign minister, Avigdor Lieberman, who apparently changed his tone, and State Department went out of its way to welcome him. Let's watch.
Well, we certainly welcomed his remarks and his sentiment and the importance of the peace process, and it's a reflection of course, the belief of many people in Israel that a two-state solution is the right outcome.
Well, Barbara, everybody picks their own favorite. How convenient.
You know, it's a sad commentary when the State Department spokeswoman has to praise Avigdor Lieberman. What did he say? He just did not throw spears at the process. He offered empty platitudes. He praised Kerry as being, he stated a fact that Kerry is a good friend.
For him.
Kerry is a good friend of Israel, and he has learned stylistically to change his tone. But what did he say? I was there at the event on Friday. What did he say?
Nothing special, you say?
Nothing at all.
Alon, is this the beginning of the end of this current government in Israel?
Yes, I think so. You know, these things are tectonic sometimes, but you see the cracks, they are visible. Lieberman, Foreign Minister Lieberman, said what he had said, I think, for political reasons. It was conducive, it was useful politically for him to centralize himself right now at this point. I agree with Barbara. He said nothing of substance or new. Nonetheless, stylistically, he positioned himself at a point where this government could crumble because of these pressures.
Alon and Barbara, thank you very much.
Thank you.
A European company, Zero to Infinity, offers flights to space or near space with a balloon. We caught up with Jose Marinano. He's in Kuala Lumpur, and he travels around the world selling tickets, $150,000 each. Hello, Jose.
Hello, Jacob.
Can you first describe what's the passenger's experience on your venture up there in the balloon?
Visually, it will be very, very similar, almost the same thing that the astronauts experience when they are in low Earth orbit. Basically, you see that the planet is round, you see the horizon as a curved line, and the sky, as you are going up, becomes dark blue, up to a moment that it's completely black, and stars start shining. On the contrary, the movements and the physical experience of going up will be in sharp contrast with the traditional way that astronauts have gone, because it will be done in a calm, slow, and without any strong forces or vibrations, as would be the case if you were riding up on a rocket.
Mm-hmm. When do you expect this to be operational?
On an experimental basis, within 12 months. On a commercial basis, maybe 1 year more.
Well, look, there's no space shuttle there, only a balloon, so $150,000, it's a bit steep.
That's a good point. Of course, it all depends. It would be lovely to make it less expensive, but our margins are pretty low. And anybody that is flying that kind of payloads, basically a space agency like NASA or CNES, the French space agency, they spend several million on each flight without people. So we think it's a very fair price. And the amount of time that will be spent with this visual experience will be very significant, about 2 hours. So compared to a rocket-based system, it's a very good value for money, about 20 times less expensive per minute.
Okay, well, thank you very much and good luck. Thank you. Israeli NBA star Omri Caspi spoke to us this week from Houston, Texas, where he plays for the Houston Rockets, of course, and he's looking forward to the playoffs.
Oh, it's unbelievable. You know, somebody asked me a few weeks ago did I dream that it's going to be this big, and obviously I didn't. You know, and the support and the amount of love and joy that I get from people here, not only in Houston, but all over the States. As everywhere we go as a team, people supporting me and my team, it's unbelievable. I never dreamed it's going to be this big. Well, I think the system in Houston really gives you a lot of freedom and creativity to do a lot of stuff, and I feel like I'm in a position that I can contribute and bring a lot of energy off the bench and help the starters take their time off and, change things up in our game. And I feel like, when you get consistent minutes, you're able to produce on a consistent basis. So, it's fun to be in that position, and it's, great team to be on. We're winning. We're competing for something. We're competing to win a championship, and we have a great group of guys here that our mindset is get better every day and to compete every night and in the highest level in the world. So it feels great to be in this position.
And this has been The World This Week. We'll see you here next Sunday, of course. Have a good week.